AI coding tools can do something that still feels a little bit like cheating. You type, "Make me a tiny app that does this thing," and a few seconds later you have code. Sometimes it even works, and if you are not a programmer, that is genuinely exciting. It means you can build little tools for yourself. A checklist, a web page, a file renamer, a personal dashboard, things that would have felt completely out of reach a few years ago. But there is one small catch. Real code can do real things. It can create files, delete files, send data over the internet, install packages, connect to accounts, break in ways that look boring right up until they are not boring anymore. So today we are talking about vibe coding, what it is good for, what can go wrong, and how to try it safely as a beginner without handing your computer the keys and saying, "Good luck, little robot." Vibe coding is a loose term, but the basic idea is simple. You use natural language and an AI coding tool to turn an idea into working code. Instead of writing every line yourself, you describe what you want, review what the AI gives you, test it, and iterate. The term became widely visible in 2025, and Collins named vibe coding its word of the year. It is often associated with Andrej Karpathy, who used it to describe a style of AI-assisted coding where you steer the direction and let the model handle a lot of the details. Depending on who is using the phrase, though, vibe coding can mean two very different things. The useful version is, "I am using AI to help me prototype and learn faster." The risky version is, "I do not understand this code, but it looks official, so I am going to run it." Those are not the same thing. This video is about the first version, the practical version, the "let's build something small and understand what is happening" version. People get weirdly emotional about whether this counts as coding. Here's my practical answer. If the result is code and the code runs, then yes, you are dealing with real code. But that does not mean you magically become a software engineer because a chatbot produced a folder full of JavaScript. Think of it more like using a power tool. A power saw does not make you a carpenter. But it can absolutely help you build something if you understand the basics, measure carefully, and keep your fingers out of the part that spins. AI coding is similar. It can help you move faster. It can help you learn. It can give you a starting point, but you still need judgment. And for beginners, judgment starts with choosing the right first project. Good beginner projects are small, local, reversible, and easy to test. For example, a simple web page that runs in your browser, a checklist tool, a tiny calculator, a personal notes page, a script that works only on copied sample files in a test folder, a little dashboard that does not log into anything and does not touch private data. Those are good because if they break, the blast radius is tiny. You close the browser tab, you delete the test folder, you go make coffee and reconsider your life choices. Normal computer stuff. Bad first projects are the opposite. Do not start with anything that touches your real documents, business files, tax records, password manager, production database, cloud account, or public website. And definitely do not start with "make me an app that logs into 5 services, scrapes data, stores passwords, and deploys itself." That is not a beginner project. That is a future incident report wearing a novelty hat. AI-generated code can be useful, but useful does not mean safe. There are a few common risk zones. First, file access. If code can read, write, move, or delete files, you need to know exactly where and why. Second, network access. If code sends information over the internet, calls an API, downloads something, or connects to a service, slow down. Third, secrets. Passwords, API keys, tokens, private URLs, customer data, personal files. Keep all of that out of beginner experiments. Fourth, package installs. If the AI says, "run this install command," do not just paste it into a terminal because the text looks confident. Packages can be useful, but they are also code from somewhere else. Fifth, agents with permissions. Some AI coding tools can edit files, run commands, create branches, open pull requests, and work across a project. That can be powerful. It also means the tool has a bigger workspace to affect. GitHub's own Copilot documentation says AI suggestions should be reviewed and tested. OWASP's AI security guidance also talks about risks like prompt injection, sensitive information disclosure, supply chain issues, and excessive agency. The plain English version is, the more power you give the AI, the more boring and careful your safety habits need to become. And yes, there have been cautionary stories. In 2025, several outlets reported a case involving Replit's AI coding agent deleting a production database during a test run. I am not bringing that up to scare you away from AI coding. I am bringing it up because it illustrates the point perfectly. Production systems are not where you learn. You learn in a sandbox. You learn with fake data. You learn where mistakes are annoying, not catastrophic. Here is the workflow I recommend. Step 1. Pick a small project. If you cannot describe it in one sentence, it is probably too big for your first attempt. Step 2. Create a test folder. Not your desktop full of real stuff, not your documents folder. A boring little folder called something like AI-code-test. Step 3. Ask for a plan before code. Tell the AI, before writing code, give me a short plan. That gives you a chance to catch nonsense early. Step 4. Add constraints. For a beginner project, I like constraints like make this one local HTML file. Do not use external libraries. Do not connect to the internet. Do not read or write files. Explain anything risky before including it. Step 5. Generate the code. Step 6. Ask the AI to explain the code, not in grand theory. Ask, explain what each part does in plain English. Step 7. Inspect for risky behavior. Look for file operations, network requests, install commands, account logins, secrets, destructive commands, and deployment steps. You may not understand every line yet. That is okay, you are learning, but you can still spot big red flags. Step 8. Run it with sample data only, and Step 9. Verify the result yourself. The AI saying this should work is not a test. The code running once is not a full test. Click the buttons, try bad input, refresh the page, see what actually happens. Let's make this concrete. For a first vibe coding project, I would not start with an app that modifies files. I would start with a single local web page. Here's a prompt. Create a single HTML file for a beginner AI code safety checklist. It should run locally in a browser. Use plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in one file. Do not use external libraries, network requests, file access accounts, or package installs. Before writing code, give me a short plan. Notice what that prompt does. It gives the project goal. It gives the environment local browser. It limits the scope, one file. It limits the risk, no external libraries, no network, no file access, no accounts, no package installs. And it asks for a plan first. Before we let it write code, we read the plan. If the plan says we will store checklist results in a cloud database, that is a no. If it says we will install a framework, that is not what we asked for. If it says we will save files to your computer, also no. For a first project, boring is good. Then we ask for the code. Once we have the code, we do not immediately run it. We ask, explain what this code does. Also list any network access, file access, external dependencies, or destructive behavior. Should we trust that explanation completely? No, but it gives us another pass. We can compare what the AI says with what the code seems to contain. For a one-file HTML page, I am looking for things like, does it load scripts from another website? Does it send data anywhere? Does it ask for permissions? Does it try to access files? If it is just HTML, CSS, and a little JavaScript to check boxes or save something in the browser, that is a reasonable beginner demo. Then we open it locally and test it, click every checkbox, type weird input if there is a text box. Refresh the page, try the obvious ways it might break. That is vibe coding with a seatbelt. The trick is not one magical prompt. The trick is keeping the AI on a short leash. Here are a few prompts I would keep handy. Before writing code, give me a short plan. Keep this beginner-friendly and local. Do not use external dependencies unless I approve them. Explain what this code does before I run it. List anything that touches files, the network, credentials, accounts, or the command line. Give me a safe test plan using fake data. What could go wrong with this code? That last one is useful. Ask the AI to criticize its own answer. It will not catch everything, but it often catches something. And when you are new, something is better than charging straight through a wall because the autocomplete sounded confident. Here is the simple checklist I want you to remember. Is the project small? Is it in a test folder? Does it avoid real data? Does it avoid passwords, tokens, and private files? Does it avoid unexpected installs? Does it avoid network access unless you understand why? Can you explain what it is supposed to do? Did you ask the AI to explain the code? Did you test it with sample data? Can you undo the changes? If the answer to those is mostly yes, you are in a much better place. If the answer is, I have no idea, but the AI says it is fine, then pause. That pause is not failure. That pause is the skill. Vibe coding is not fake programming, and it is not magic programming. It is a new way to get help turning ideas into code. For beginners, that can be fantastic. You can build small tools, learn by asking questions, and get over the blank page problem that stops a lot of people before they start. But the safe version is not. Ask AI, run code, hope. The safe version is small project, clear constraints, plan first, explain the code, check the risky parts, test with fake data, and keep the blast radius tiny. Start with something that cannot hurt anything important. Make a local checklist. Make a tiny web page. Make a toy tool in a test folder. Once you can understand and test the small thing, then you can build the next slightly less small thing. That is how you turn vibe coding from a party trick into an actual useful skill. If you want to follow up, the next step is building a small Windows-friendly utility with AI and walking through every safety check before anything runs.